Woke up this morning, this solstice, in the Silver Peak range, and I worked most of the night setting up for a thorough exploration of this place. It's a middle elevation range near the California border. Highest point's just under 10,000 feet, I believe. A lot of mining activity here. There should be a decent amount of water and forest here. Quite a lot of atroplex flats as well. Excited to explore this place for the first time, though. I think there's a few species here at least that are narrowly endemic, so I want to see what this place is all about. It's pretty incredible how many Mojave Desert elements reach this far north. We're at the same latitude as Tonopah, which I would not describe as a place with Mojave Desert affinities. In fact, the Toyabe range there is a unique treasure of its own. Wish I'd been filming video when I traversed the whole thing. Might have to do that again someday. It was pretty incredible. The trail portion itself is magnificent, but maybe only comprises a third, maybe even less of the whole range, actually. But here, it's a frontier. The Mojave Desert, certainly. And some people call Nevada the Silver State. Maybe more keen to call it the Frontier State. You got frontier of California species, Idaho Snake River Plain species, Colorado Plateau, Four Corners species, Southern Rockies species have a frontier here. Mojave Desert draws a huge frontier line across southern Nevada. Even got Sonoran elements. I mean, got a little bit frontierness of every major southwestern, even circumboreal floristic affinities. Just simply the best state. Basically looking at tomorrow's walk in the distance there to the left. Looks pretty good. Looks like a gentle ridgetop with some forest. The present moment, though, is it went from a speckling of pinyon and junipers to basically time to get ready for the pain, because we got Joshua trees starting to appear. This is basically the solstice right now, which means it's basically the hottest and driest time of year, although July and August can be pretty bad too. So this is going to be interesting, walking through some jay tree habitat this time of year. But hopefully the pain is limited to just a few hours this afternoon. By the cool of the evening, I should have basically crossed all the lowest, hottest stuff, I hope. Not firmly in the Joshua tree forest yet. They look like here what I would describe as adventive. They're definitely on the shorter side. Might be newly just expanding here or recovering here, who knows. I would suspect the former based on climate change and predictions of where that's going. But they sure do look stunted compared to some others we've seen. earlier this year, earlier this spring. Although I guess it's basically summer now. In a new global era of physical distancing, this is about as good as one can do. Gonna be bottoming out soon. Got that valley to cross and then ascend into the higher country there. The heat isn't too bad. I'd say it's in the low 90s probably. And it's a gentle downhill slope, so not exactly, suffering or even sweating really. Not too bad yet. Oh, it is mid-afternoon. It's gonna get a little warmer. There's no shade and I'm kind of hungry, so I am on the lookout for somewhere to sit out a half hour or so of the worst midday heat and have a really delightful evening out there in those light, almost adobe hills. We've got Yucca brevifolia, indicator species of the Mojave Desert this far north. Let's see, almost as far north as common points of reference such as Bishop and Mono Lake, somewhere in between there. Quite close to California, White Mountains, Sierra Nevada. We are just below 5,000 feet here. And another Mojave Desert species just started appearing. I've never seen it this high on the real edge of the Mojave near Las Vegas. But got Opuntia basilaris on these dry flats. So Opuntias are starting to become common. And I'm gonna shit a brick if I start seeing some Yucca shadidra or some Lauria tridentata. That would truly feel out of place in this landscape this far north. But they'll be here someday. Don't you doubt it. It's a rather sizable dust tornado in the distance. I think peak heat has been reached and passed, which is good because there's not any shade here. Very, very occasionally there'll be a Yucca brevifolia, but yeah, I'm getting hot and thirsty and needed some shade. I'm just not seeing it. Throughout the afternoon and into the evening now, every time I look to the north towards that dune country, towards those salt pans, I see twisters. It's just continuous coming and going of twisters out there. Some of them big, some of them small. The breeze just caught up right now, but I wouldn't really describe this as a particularly windy day. No, not whatsoever. You can see the forested elevations I'm looking to attain tonight, early tomorrow, in the background there. Very pretty country. Hot and dry though. Almost sunset and fast approaching the southern end of the arc. Straight ahead there. Connects to another mountain range at a low pass there. It's starting to cool down. Breeze is nice. Could probably put in another couple hours to get to the base there, even though it's going to be dark, because it is so pleasant outside now all of a sudden. This part of Nevada is so barren, in part because we're in the rain shadow of Sierra Nevada right here, and doubly in the rain shadow of the White Mountains, which are themselves in the rain shadow of the Sierra, and notable for their unique and endemic alpine dry flora. So that's part of the reason why it's such a baked hardpan Mojave habitat this far north. There is tons of halogeton, unfortunately, which tells me this place is probably grazed, although I haven't seen any other evidence of that so far. But the halogetones are just so abundant that I'm having trouble processing it. See? They're everywhere. Lots of salsula out here too. Tons of atriplex. Other amaranthaceae shrubs. Haven't seen a Joshua tree in some hours now, interestingly. And hopefully, by the end of this walk this eve, I'll be seeing some trees. Conversely, further east you go, towards Utah, the wetter the ranges become. Valleys don't get all that much wetter, although somewhat they support sagebrush. I have not seen any sagebrush today, not at all. Got Encelia virginensis, but yep, not one artemisia so far. I'm sure they're higher up. I've seen them throughout the White Mountains. They're around, but something about this valley is simply too hot and dry. Got some Stanleya still developing here. A little bit higher now than I have been most of the day. Back in the 5,000 foot range. Spend most of the day below 5,000 feet. Hopefully won't be below 5,000 again on this trip due to intense heat, but got wasps that really like Asclepias erosa too. I've noticed that are just really waiting for that Stanleya to continue to bud upwards. Been seeing them most of the day, even during some of the hottest portions of the day. So they're active all summer. I've seen them active in July elsewhere. Amazing creatures. Happy solstice to all. Make it a good one. Look at this little darling I just found. Oh, doesn't like speech. It's calm until I started talking. Yeah, these are kangaroo mice. It's jumping around quite a bit before I caught it. What a sweetheart. Heading into the Palmetto subrange now via this canyon called Lita Wash. I had stashed some supplies up on the slope there. There's a road on the top. Got there last night. Found that my water jug had rolled down the slope and broken open by the time it hit the bottom. So, looked on the map and there are 3 springs in this canyon, so I'm definitely sticking to the bottom here until I find water. Have a little bit left, but it's suddenly not the best situation. So one of them's called Mud Spring, for example. Just not sure what the condition of the water may be up there. We shall find out. Pretty darn good road going up the canyon. I hope that's a good sign for the water prospects, because such roads typically have destinations, and amongst the common destinations of such roads may be springs, since they are unique and special to people in the desert. First sagebrush of the trip is a mighty large one, Artemisia tridentata here, finally replacing the rabbit brushes and the atriplex and all kinds of other amaranthaceous shrubs. The fact that they're so tall, that's some old growth sagebrush. It could mean water underground, Argemone unita. Could mean water underground, could simply mean it's been thriving there undisturbed. Okay. Mimulus, Cecimbrium, lots of Cecimbrium and Halogeton. Bromus tictorum. Got a very tall Pinus monophylla here at that first spring. Ran into a pretty big herd of cows, which explained something about the road, and also made me think there has to be water at these springs, because cows are pretty thirsty creatures. Here's what it looks like. This is the cow water in any case. It's good enough for some hand washing. And it's just a trickle coming out of the pipe there. Some ranchers got it affixed to that steel pole so that it's always kind of downward pointing. Taking forever, just a trickle. Better than nothing. It's clear and clean. It's not warm. It's piped into a boxed in area so that the cows don't trample it up there. And it's just a seep there underneath the box. I don't even think I could get anything from the seep, it's so small. So the fact that the pipe is hooked into the seep means water for me, as slow as it is. Getting closer to the Palmetto subrange ridge ahead. There's some kind of band of steppe, I guess it probably is on top, probably sagebrush steppe, above what's probably a uniform pinyon juniper cercocarpus zone. We'll see. There's an installation on the top, so it's possible this road is gonna take me all the way up, which sounds fine to me. with about a 2,000 foot ascent, that is, in rather warm temperatures. Definitely upper 80s, if not lower 90s. But when there's a breeze, it feels just good enough. Some grazing in this area, but it's really not that bad. I'm seeing very minimal impact from it, actually. So whatever numbers are extant out here, they're doing it right. Ran into a herd of probably 15 animals earlier at the spring, basically. They hang out in the general vicinity of water, and most of them were hanging out in the shade. But they were doing it right at the spring too. They had it piped into an intermediate tank that all kinds of animals were using. It was incredible, the bird life. Even mourning doves there. Couldn't believe it. But lots of other birds, I had no idea what they are. Native things. And I'm sure the horses use that. I saw 2 horses in the lower deserts yesterday. I didn't know they hung out that low during summer heat. Kind of like donks. It's quite a grove of penstemons here. Heliomerus. Pachyra. Keeps going.